Well, I'm just about to collect some pine cones, but I thought I'd like to just show you the point in Crowwood where it changes from what's deciduous woodland with mostly birch and oak and hazel into what is a pine woodland. I guess at one point it must have been planted out as a plantation. So we move from, and then the lights you can see in the distance there is where the heath itself stretches away, just gorse and bracken, no trees are in the middle there. But we're in the woodland part here, and suddenly you're in the pine woods, and the clue is when you start looking down and seeing pine cones, of course, and pine needles. And as I walk along here quickly, just show you the leaf litter, if you might call it that, on the forest floor becomes pine needle, very springy pine needle leaf litter. There's a little hole there. I don't know if a creature's been digging, and under the trees you can see lots of dried pine needles, but also of course lots of pine cones at this time of year. Quite little tiny ones. I don't know whether it hasn't been a particularly good year for them, or maybe these are even last year's ones, but there are quite, if you look closely, there's quite a lot, so I should be collecting some of those. Just here, well actually, just to show you first, this is obviously where a tree has come down recently. You can see the very raw stump there, and that's where it's been pushed to the side of the track there. I guess in the storms we had around my birthday, around the end of September, we lost lots and lots of trees in the woods, and all around actually. So I always think when you step over this fallen tree trunk, because this one has been here a long time, that you're entering into the depths of the pine wood. So that's what I shall do. I shall just show you on the ground where the pine cones are lying here. And of course you can use them for other things apart from dyeing. You can make fire lighters and just use them generally actually for just putting in your fire to make it a spark and crackle. And the pine needles that have fallen down, the fresh green ones, there's quite a few little sprigs, and you can use those as resin in, well, resinous kind of scent when you make things like cleaning, green cleaning fluids, materials and sprays and things. So I shall be trying to use some of those as well. I haven't ever done anything like that before, but I do plan to this autumn, winter. But anyway, first things first, going to be collecting these pine cones, got a basket to fill. So I shall say goodbye for the moment and catch up with you later. Well, I thought it would be nice to show you what I've been doing with the pine cones. So they're in this pot here, which I've rigged up a trolley, old trolley outside the room I laughingly call the studio here, which hopefully one day will be. Although I have got a room inside, so I can't really worry too much. It's at the moment it's got lots of stuff in it, but I'm going to hopefully just be using it for messy things like dyeing in the future. And anyway, to that end, I have got the pine cones here. I'll just take the lid off so you can see better. In this pot, and you can see the steam coming out. And they could have been, obviously I could have used the stove inside, but because they're not toxic, but they don't smell very nice at all. Well, I don't think they do. I think fermenting pine cones are sort of an acquired taste in terms of smell. So I boiled them up once, or simmered them once inside, and that's when I realised actually I let them cool and just steep in the water. And the second heating, I've brought them outside. So I'm quite pleased with this arrangement actually. I've just got an extension lead to the socket in the room there, and I'll just step back again. You can see, yeah, it's quite a nice little spot for it. So what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to strain the pine cones out, and the resulting dark liquid, which it looks very brown at the moment, it might have a slightly reddish tinge, I hope it will. That's what I'm going to be putting my cloth into, which a long time ago now I had got it ready, lots of different bits and pieces of white linen and cotton, old stuff that I've got from charity shops, and some of them were old sheets, so I've saved all sorts of bits and pieces, as long as it was cotton, natural fibre. It could be wool, but I don't really like very bright colours. I like them very subtle and muted, and that's what you get with the cellulose fibres. rather than animal fibres like wool, which tend to be very bright. So I might try a little bit of both just to see how what happens. But anyway, that's the plan. So I'll leave you for now, and I shall get on with this and see what happens. I won't be able to show you the finished result today or anything because it's not that quick, because what I'm going to do is, once I've simmered the fabric in the dye without the pine cones in, I'm then going to let that all soak, just let the pieces of material soak in the dye pot at least overnight, maybe for a couple of days, and then take them out and rinse them. But I shall be eagerly awaiting what they're going to turn out like, and I'll also show you as well. So that's it for now. Actually, I've changed my mind about the smell of these pine cones. I think I actually have grown to quite like it. I don't know why. Probably it reminds me of my childhood when we used to go to a place called Kelling Heath, which we had our little caravan. We used to keep it up there when I was really small, and it was in the middle of pine woods. So I think and they were fermenting underfoot in the autumn. So that's probably what it is. So actually, I've kind of changed my mind. Perhaps it was just because it was all in the kitchen, it was all a little bit too enclosed. But out here, it's actually rather evocative. So I shall leave the lid off and have a good smell of it before I switch off the heat and let it steep again.